Where We're From highlights the rich textures, histories, and experiences of the Asian, Pacific Islander, and Desi American community. Each episode is produced by students at San Jose State University.
Hey, Bird Brains! Welcome back. I'm James, one of your Jays here to introduce episode 3, the last of our 3-part series. Well, today is going to be a little different because today we're going to be diverging from our normal topic of anti-Asian violence to talk about something more to do with our perception of others. Representation in media can impact our society, views those within it. And I hope you guys enjoy our last episode with y'all. We truly appreciate the time and support you've given us for the past 5 months. But before I fly off, I'll pass this on to our girly birdies here to cover our discussion about the stereotypes of Asian women.
Let's start by breaking down the stereotypes. Historically, Asian women in Western media have been portrayed in very narrow ways. There's the lotus blossom, which is quiet, submissive, and hyper feminine, and then there's the dragon lady, who's dominant, manipulative, and hypersexualized.
Right, and both of these come from Orientalism, the Western portrayal of Asian cultures as exotic, mysterious, or even threatening. These reductive ideas were applied to women in harmful ways.
And there's also the model minority stereotype. Asian women are seen as brilliant and hardworking, but emotionally cold or socially awkward. Even though it seems positive, it's really dehumanizing.
Exactly. Let's talk about examples. What films or shows stand out to you?
For me, Memoirs of a Geisha, it's visually stunning but leans heavily into a submissive exotic trope. The characters feel more symbolic than real.
I think of Lucy Liu's roles in Ally McBeal and Kill Bill. She's a badass, but the Dragon Lady archetype is all over those characters.
Yeah, exactly. These portrayals stick with us. But let's move to the history behind this. Like, how do we get here?
These stereotypes didn't appear overnight. They're rooted in colonialism and war. Westerners brought back ideas of the submissive Asian woman from their time in Asia. Wars like Vietnam and Korea reinforced these images.
And this ties into Orientalism. Orientalism, portrayed by Asian societies as exotic, mysterious, and inferior, it justified European imperialism and shaped how Asian women were seen: delicate and passive, or manipulative and dangerous.
Through literature, art, and film, these stereotypes spread in the West. The Lotus Blossom and Dragon Lady archetypes came to dominate portrayals of Asian women. For example, Anna May Wong was often casted in these roles, either as a submissive beauty in The Thief of Baghdad or cunning femme in Shanghai Express.
Even though Anna May Wong was a pioneer, her career highlights how these images were baked into Hollywood.
And those stereotypes didn't stay in the past. They've evolved and continue to influence portrayals today.
What's worth noting too is how propaganda during World War II shaped these stereotypes further. Asian women were depicted as loyal and demure allies, or as cunning enemies. This binary view fed into existing stereotypes and made them even harder to get rid of.
Now let's talk about how modern media is doing better or not when it comes to representing Asian women. Have you seen any recent films or shows that stand out?
Yeah, like Everything Everywhere All at Once. Michelle Yeoh's character is rich and multidimensional. She's strong, vulnerable, funny, and flawed all at once.
Aquafina, in The Farewell, is another great example. The story lets her be awkward and relatable, breaking away from stereotypes.
Do you think we're seeing a shift in how Asian women are portrayed?
I'd say it's a slow shift. For every nuanced portrayal, outdated tropes still show up. The Karate Kid in 2010, Mei Ying is a talented musician, but her character is mostly defined by her romantic relationship with Dre, which fits into Lotus Blossom mod.
On the flip side, you have Crazy Rich Asians, Rachel Chu, played by Constance Wu. She's smart, accomplished, and hardworking, and her story is rooted in personality and depth, not stereotypes.
And that's the key, portraying Asian women as individuals with unique strengths and struggles. How do these stereotypes even affect real life?
In relationships, Asian women are more fetishized or overlooked. Navigating these biases are exhausting.
And in the workplace, there's the assumption that Asian women are docile and won't speak up. This leads to being undervalued or ignored.
Yeah, we've seen these stereotypes often contribute to violence, like the Atlanta spot shooting in 2021, which was a devastating example of how fetishization can turn deadly.
It's chilling. Representation matters because it can challenge or reinforce harmful ideas.
And it's not just overt acts of bias or violence, it's also the everyday microaggressions, the assumptions, comments, and dismissals that add up over time and impact how Asian women exist and navigate our society.
We should also think about the systematic aspects. Stereotypes like these don't just harm impersonal relationships, they also shape policies and attitudes. For example, stereotypes can influence how many Asian women are treated in healthcare or the justice system, where they may not be taken seriously due to assumptions about their, quote, quiet nature.
Not just that, but there's also a ripple effect. These stereotypes impact how the next generation sees themselves. Young Asian girls internalize these messages, and it can shape their self-esteem, aspirations, and how they approach the world.
On a broader scale, it also affects how non Asian audiences view and interact with Asian women. If media keeps reinforcing these tropes, it perpetrates a cycle of misunderstanding and bias that's hard to break. What can we do to move past these stereotypes? Well, one solution is supporting Asian creators who tell authentic, nuanced stories.
Movies like The Farewell and shows like Beef highlight Asian women as complex and flawed, just like everyone else.
Listeners can diversify their media consumption, seek out stories, form different perspectives. It's eye-opening.
And call out harmful portrayals when you see them. We all play a role in shaping the media landscape anyway.
Let's also support Asian-led media platforms and creators. Small actions like this, like watching a film or following a creator, amplify diverse voices.
Representation isn't just about faces on screen. It's about depth and humanity in stories told.
If you're listening, start with your media choices. Seek stories that reflect real lives and that challenge stereotypes.
Another way to contribute is to advocate for systematic change in media industries. This means pushing for diversity not just in front of the camera, but in writers' rooms, directing roles, and production teams. Push for narratives that would warrant and inspire change in these outdated views and perspectives.
And for educators and parents, it's about teaching critical media literacy early. Help the next generation recognize stereotypes and question what they see on screen.
Thank you, birdies, for joining us for the last time. This was an important discussion because in a society, media is the most powerful and accessible source of information. It's important to have good representation of a better understanding of each other. Let's keep advocating for better representation, birdies. But before you fly off, ask yourself a few questions. How do media stereotypes shape your perception of Asian women? What changes have you noticed in media representation in recent years? What would you consider to be good or bad representation in media? I hope you all have a good day.
Thank you for listening to Where We're From. This podcast is produced by students enrolled in Dr. Joanne Rondila's Asian American Studies courses at San Jose State University.